Well, hello everyone. I am coming to you live with another DIY project. I know we're kind of stacking these up, but the weather outside is nasty. It's cold. It's like 37, so it is above freezing, but it's rainy, dreary, misty, just ugly being outside. We got plenty of things to do inside. So here's another one. This is something I mentioned in a previous video. I just hadn't videoed it yet, but I did mention them. And these are the floor outlet insulation panels thingies. I think you can see it. Can you see the little cutouts? They look like little electric plugs. And they got little perforations. So depending on your style of plug, whether or not you need these center strips or you remove them, or the outside strips, you can just tear them off. They have little perforations and you can tear them. So I had started winterizing some of the floor plugs. Now these are for, you can put these into wall plugs. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't have any wall plugs on the exterior wall. I have a couple of wall plugs in the interior of the house, but you don't really need to insulate those. So these are all floor plugs where cold air is seeping in around the electrical outlets, because guess what? They're not insulated at all, which I think is kind of crazy. So I like to save money. That's me. And I'll go ahead and redirect this camera. Let me refocus you down where I'm working. If you can see that. I'll move you in a little bit. I'll try not to drop you. Ooh. Okay. See if you can see that okay. So it's just a flat tip screwdriver. And these plugs are hot, so don't go sticking your fingers in there. It's pretty easy to do these things here. Another thing that we have here is this. I'm going to do a little plug-in for O-Light. This light has come in so handy. It's like a little lantern. It also is a radio, and you can Bluetooth to it. And it's got two types of lights. You got the white light and the amber light. But I use it a lot for projects like this to cast light where I'm trying to work. So we were in the master bedroom here, and these plugs, and you can just feel the cool air coming in. Now it's not as cold as it has been, but I can still feel it. It's in a metal box that's underneath, and it looks like they've been caulked around the metal box, but there's still air that comes through the metal box. So what you do is you just punch these little things out, and kind of be careful, because if you get too fast or you get in a hurry, you might tear one that you don't want to tear. Now these have the option right here to tear these out, these little tabs. And for these plugs, we do remove those. And so that's what I remove, like that. Now this center one where the screw goes, I keep them in there, but it's going to fall out initially because there's nothing to hold it in there. See, they just fall out. But I'll be using it. You just kind of, I'll just set it to the side right now, where it might fall down into the plug into the plug thing. So you just carefully pull them apart. You can kind of hear it go snap, snap. That's one side. And then I'm measuring the distance here. I don't think I used these little center pieces. Yeah, they're too big. So I take these off too. Now the outside piece, there's a wide hole on this left side, so I'm going to leave this left side in, and the cover will cover it. And all you do is you push it down around your plug face. And then I'm going to take this little piece here and I'm going to plug it, whoop, put it back in the center there. And then we have to go ahead and do both sides, because the cover, it's a metal cover and it covers both sides. See? So we're going to do the other side the same way. I like these little foam things. I think they're about $7 and you get 12 of them, but I think that's a little pricey, but I mean, it's going to save you money in the long run. You're going to get the money back. So again, you have to take this part off. And then I'm going to keep the outside one on because there's some space here. And just push it down around the plug just like we did the other one. Now, these are hot, and you can put your hands over a plug and touch it. You don't want to put your fingers or a screwdriver down in there. The only one that's hot anyway is going to be this one right here, the one on the right side. This will be your neutral and your ground, so they can't hurt you. But you just push it down like that, and all you're trying to do is take up that space. Now, if you need to take these outside ones off, you can. Always wait and see if they're going to fit. If they're going to fit in the cover, I'm going to leave them on. And it looks like they do fit in the cover. And then the screws have to kind of push down through the holes, but there's a hole there's a perforated hole, and so the screw will just push down through it. But that'll make it nice and tight around the screw too, so it won't leak around the screw. So anywhere you can put insulation in here is good. There's another one, you can kind of see the perforation. You just push it, you hear it click. And you push it down firmly with the screwdriver until you grab the threads, and then you'll be able to feel it. And it'll actually pull the cover down. And now that is all done. And now I just checked it, use the back of my hand. It's more sensitive to the cold. And I don't feel any air coming through that outlet now. Now this outlet doesn't get used very much, so I got some plug covers, some safety covers. They're for kids, you don't want to have, because kids will put stuff in there. We don't have any kids here, and this is for toddlers anyway, but I like to use them to help keep the center from leaking air. Not that I can feel it, but when it was colder, I could feel cold air even coming through these electric outlets. So what I would do is just cap off the ones I'm not using. So in this case, I'll put 4 on here to cap them off. So here are these little covers. And they're just little safety covers for babies, toddlers. And I like to put them over them. If you're not using them, and they're not hard to pull out, you just put a flat tip screwdriver under the edge of them. Be, again, careful with the tip that you don't go up here where the hot is. Keep it down on the ground side, and you just twist and pry. And then you can just lift them out. I'm going to do exactly what I told you not to do. Just go across like that. Don't stick them down in, and you're okay. But they just pop out. And this will further keep cold air from seeping into your heated space. And now I feel 0 air. No air coming through this outlet. So that's what we're trying to do. And if you need to use them, like I said, just pop the covers off and use them. But this particular one doesn't get used that much. I don't know that I've ever used it. I want to show you something else while I got you here. Let me tip the camera up a little more. See this heat register over here? I've seen these on Marketplace called heat covers. They're not heat covers. They don't cover heat. And they're not just used for heat. They're used for AC too. So that's the wrong name. These are actually called vent registers is what they're called. But they're just sitting in there. So you can pry these up, and you see all this nasty stuff needs to be vacuumed out and whatnot. But I wanted to show this because these have louvers on them, and you can close them and open them and redirect heat and air conditioning. Another thing you can do is the one in the kitchen always gets food particles dropped down in it. And so they make baskets that go on these. And I'll clean this later, but I just wanted to show you that they pop right out. They're not anything holding them in. You just push them down. And they're flat. These are metal. They do make plastic ones. But the one in the kitchen is kind of in a bad spot because you're standing on it, you're preparing food on it, and stuff drops down in there. So I want to build a little basket to go on the bottom of that heat register to help catch some of the bigger stuff that doesn't need to be going down in the vent and collecting over the years, getting heated and cooled and heated. And a lot of it is bugs. Bugs go down in there and die, and they just stay in there. And you can only get the vacuum so far, because that one in the kitchen really goes down and turns pretty sharp, and you can't really vacuum down in there. So I just wanted to show it to you while I was sitting here, because there's a register right here. But they do just pop out. But hey, that completes this DIY project. Pretty simple, huh? But I've got about 12 of these things to do. I've done about 5 or 6 now, so I've got about 5 or 6 more to do. But that's all for this video, so I hope that helps. Maybe a little tip. Maybe go check your registers when it's cold, or your plugs, rather. Put your hand up against them when it's cold outside and see if you feel cold air coming through there. Because I bet you your contractor did not insulate those. Unless you're in a really cold climate, and I think they have to insulate them. It might be part of code. But here, this cabin was probably predates code, and they're in the floor. So these are all these are floor registers and floor plugs. They all come through the floor here. So there is a crawl space in the floor, and cold air gets into the crawl space, and then the cold air comes up through these outlets, and that's what happens. Actually, that's not exactly technically correct either. Hot air displaces cold. It feels like cold air is coming in, but really what you're doing is you're losing your warm air. The warm air is passing through the outlet, forcing the cold air in. So it feels like cold air is coming in, but actually what's happening is the warm air is getting out. So you don't want that either. So either way, you want to block that, minimize that, and that'll help reduce your electric bill. So, thanks for joining me. We'll catch you next time on another great DIY project. Okay, real quick, I wanted to show you another plug style that we have here in the cabin. This one is closed, but it's a pop-up one. The neat thing about these is that you have USB plugs on them. So they come in handy. But I don't know how to insulate this one. Because it's a pop-up and it has a gasket around it, I don't think you have to. I think you can just push it down when you're not using it, and I don't feel any cold air coming through it. It's brass, so I mean these are pretty nice. But I've only got a couple of those in the house. There's one here in the front bedroom, and then I think there's one in the living room, and that's it. But they're kind of neat that they have USB plugs on them. But they don't insulate the same way. So I just wanted to show that you may have a different style that, you know, that these insulated little panels, foam panels, are not really going to work on these. Well, hello. We're going to continue our series on insulating the cold to keep it out of the cabin so the hot air can't escape. So we just finished up doing the heat registers. Now we are looking at doing the trim. We have a nice day today. It's 56, 57, 58 degrees in the sun. So I wanted to go ahead and work on this door before we get cold again. So this is the old weather stripping and the door trim, and we're going to try to do both doors. But the door trim has a slot in it. So what you do is you take this, you know, these just pull out. I'll have to get a screwdriver. But these pull out. This is the one from the right side. And you can see how old they are. And after a while, they just mash down so much that they become unpliable.
Looks brittle too. Maybe.
Yeah, it looks kind of brittle. And it doesn't have, it's not very puffy. So you can see here how they're going to be. This is the new one. This is the old one. Now it's a little different model and make because it's probably 30 years old. But it's the type that push into the slot. I forget what they're called. They do actually have a name. But what I'm going to do is cut them to fit. And all you do is you measure and you cut and then you push them into the slot. That's all there is to it. But it'll give it a nice firm, see how it's pliable like that?
It's awful dark. I would love to see a little bit more. I think you need to shine a light on.
You need to turn a light on?
Yeah.
Okay.
You like a cave, but you can't really see very well.
Oh, well, I can't see what you see, but I can see it fine.
Well, that's great.
Okay, we'll back up a little bit in the sunlight, and you should be able to see.
Beep, beep, beep.
There's sun coming in this window.
You don't want to turn on that light.
Here we go.
Run up his electric bill.
I just don't think the light would cast very well right there. So you see how this one's kind of mashed down and isn't that flexible anymore? It's just old. So this one's going to replace it. And you see it's foamy. It's also thicker. So it's got more foam. And of course, if this is 20 and 30 years old, technology's gotten a lot better. So it's good to replace these every once in a while. So we're going to replace this old garbage with the new stuff. And it's white. That's dingy. So
I see.
this is all one continuous piece, as you can see there, but I'm just going to cut it, each one down to size, and just fit it in the slot. Okay, I want to show you where we're at here. This left one went in just fine. The top one went in just fine. Then when I got over to this one, you have to create this can you see the little trench that's there? The little, I don't know what you would call that, like a ditch? A little hole in the trim. Now when you get down here around the catchment system, looks like there's been some damage and repair here. It's going to be kind of hard to get this in. I'm going to have to get the screwdriver, kind of work my way down and clear this little hole here, because that's where the trim board's got to go. It looks like there's been some caulking used on here, and try not to do any further damage on the wood here. You can see there's a little damage here. You have to create this little trough though for this strip to go in, so I just got to work on that and clear it. Look like all the way down, or really from this hinge point all the way down is going to require some cleaning up. And I've already started here. You see my mess, but all this stuff has to come out of this track so that this can get pushed into the hole there, into the groove. I guess that's a good word for it. So we'll just keep working with it until we get it in there. Okay, I did get it in. It's not as clean as I would like, but there was quite a bit of damage, but I am able to keep it in. And if it does come loose, I can just take some finishing nails and drive through it. But I'm trying not to do that at this point. I'm kind of racing the clock because as the sun goes down, it gets colder, and I don't want to have the door open when it's cold. So we can finish this up another day. Another thing I want to do here too is I want to make a slight adjustment here. I'd like to move, I think the bottom hinge is okay. This hinge I would like to move in maybe a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch, which is going to require me to get the Dremel tool out, and I have to chip this out to get, move it over. And then up here I'd like to move it in. If this moves, if the middle one moves about an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch, then this one might move in an 1/8 of an inch. What I'm trying to do is get the door to close a little tighter on this seam, and the door drags the floor a little bit. So if I move the top in, that'll lift the outside of the door up. And it's not the door that's off as much as it's just the floor. Either the wall is uneven, the floor is uneven, the door jamb is uneven. But that happened with the old door too. But you can see where it's pretty tight here. But as you move up, you start to see a small gap. And then it gets a little bigger toward the top, and then it kind of gets tight again. But you can see I've got some space to give. So if I can unscrew these, Dremel Dremel this inset out, and then this one too, I think the bottom one might be okay. I want to take the door and move it at the top. I want to move it toward the porch ever so slightly, just to tighten up this airtight seal and to lift the corner up off the floor a little bit so it's not dragging. But that'll be a project for another day. I'll do that when it's warmer, because that's going to take me some more time, and it's kind of getting late in the afternoon and starting to cool off a little bit, and I don't want to let all the heat out of the house. So at least we got the door seals replaced. This one, the door at least closes nice. I just want it to get it. I'd like to be able to swing this door all the way open, and it doesn't quite do that. But it never has done that, and that's kind of the way we bought it. I replaced this one. These were all brown, and actually one of them was pretty good. But I went on and replaced all three because I have it. I have enough to do both doors. And these two doors are the only doors I have. So I've replaced them. These two were white and this one was brown. The brown one was actually in good shape. It's like somebody replaced this brown one, but didn't replace all of them. So I went on and replaced them all. And it's a nice tight fit. Let me step outside, you can see it. But this one's nice and tight all the way around. There's no gaps. In fact, this door had a gap at the bottom. You could see daylight from the inside. I fixed that problem. So I think this was just too short, and I ran it all the way down to the joist, or to the joint there. And so this is a better ceiling door too. So we fixed both doors. I think it looks pretty good. And we're going to call that good. So, another winterization project. Hey, I had to take the sweatshirt off because it got a little hot. When you're working, you work up some temperature, it gets hot up in here. So we got it all done, and it looks. And we're going to work on that other door another day because I got to readjust the entire door. But that's it. We're going to call it good. Winterized.